learn to improve conversions and generate more leads with the video podcast at marketingoptimization.tv. Hi, and welcome to Marketing Optimization with AlexDesigns. I'm your host, Alex Harris, and today we're talking with Jen Havice from MakeMentionMedia.com. How you doing, Jen?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Jen and I got a chance to meet at the Call to Action conference up in Vancouver that was hosted by Unbounce, and I'm really excited to have her on the show today because we're going to talk specifically about copywriting for conversion. To get started, what would be your definition of optimization and why is it beneficial?
Well, the way I think about optimization in general, but also with copy, is that it's basically your way of helping your customers achieve their goals without sacrificing your own. So it's all about making it easy for people to get through your site and be able to get done what they need to get done. And then when they're able to do that, then hopefully they're going to be buying more, happy to be your customer, keep coming back, that sort of thing. So it's helping them achieve their goals is beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, I've been actually a creative director for a while, and when I hire like an art director, I know that some of the art directors who are copywriters, they tend to have some of the best, output of their acquisition strategies. So I'm always trying to become a better copywriter. Like, I can take copy and make it better, add better call to actions. But writing original copy for conversion, it can be really tough.
It is, but I am a student of Joanna at CopyHackers. So done her course and worked with her. And I, definitely subscribe to the way she handles things, is really doing the research, the customer research and the voice of customer research, and going in through surveys and looking at things like Amazon reviews and Yelp reviews and things like that, where you can go in and get a sense of what are the pain points, what do these people care about, and what kind of verbiage they're using. And when you're able to do that and really break it down, it makes it so much easier, because then you're not creating in a vacuum, and you have sort of no idea what you should be putting up there.
Well, I think it's a really great point, because I think that's actually how I become more comfortable with trying to figure out how to express myself in the voice of the customer, watching user testing videos or going through SurveyMonkey results and seeing the patterns of how people talk about your products. Because if they're talking about it in a certain way and describing it, you can just reuse those adjectives and those keywords back in your headline, your copy, and you're basically speaking to them in their own languages.
Right, exactly. So it really starts with them. I like to believe that you can inject some of your own personality into it. It doesn't have to be dry and boring, but you do really want to be mirroring what your prospects and your customers are saying and thinking, so that when they land on a page, the messaging actually really resonates with them, and so they feel like, oh, wow, they really understand me. Maybe this is the place for me.
Because I know we were chatting before we got started, and I think one of the biggest problems is that people, they don't add that personality, they don't add character to it, and then they're not specific enough with their copy to get people to do what they want. Can you speak about that kind of like action-focused and persuasive type of copywriting?
Yeah, what I've been finding a lot recently, I've been working on a lot of landing pages and even some long-form sales pages. And one I just did recently, I was going through all of the survey responses. These guys that I did it for, they were fantastic. Every time they put out a new product, they always do surveys and finding out what people thought about the buying process and all that sort of thing. So going back through everything and looking at, what are the things that are potentially stopping people from buying. And, in this one instance, it was, we're not able to see what the product looks like. We don't have a good idea of actually what it is or how the process is going to work and things like that. So, being able to, writing the next sales page, going in and actually putting in some of that micro copy and bullet points where you're really spelling out, this is exactly how it's going to work. This is exactly what you can expect from getting the product, and then even around the button, the button copy, having that directly mirror what, the product is. So, because a lot of times, people will just put buy, click here, submit, those sort of horrible friction words that not only give people the idea that they have to work, but to get what they're trying to get, but then also the fact that it's not really being specific and telling them where they're going to be taken to once they click the button.
Yeah, and that's some of the things we're going to talk about today. We're going to go into friction, but let's first start with probably the most underutilized pages on your site. When I first start a conversion plan, one of the first things I do is I immediately set up heat maps on client sites. And I look through the particular heat maps, but especially in the footer, to figure out what other pages that people are going to provide that authority, to provide that credibility. And more than likely, people are clicking on your contact page, your FAQs page, and most likely the About Us page. So you wrote a great post specifically how to use your About Us page to acquire customers. Can you take us a little bit through that?
Yeah, I wrote that on the Unbounce blog, and just because I've found that, like you said, a lot of people will go to the About page, unfortunately, because they're a lot of times not getting the information they need, elsewhere. But also it's a great place to get a sense of who's behind the business, the company, the solution, whatever. But a lot of places, a lot of times where an About page falls down is that it is all about the person, the business. And like I said, in that page, it's really not about you, it's about your customer. And so it's setting it up and giving them an idea of how they're going to benefit from your solution or from your story. So if you can tell your story in a way that instructs how your customer is going to benefit from working with you, that will make a big difference.
Yeah, well, I've definitely noticed it as I've, optimized more sites and even optimized my own site to generate leads to, get more customers, get more clients. Taking yourself out of it. It's not about you. It's about them, and really making it more about them, and maybe telling your story, becoming more vulnerable. Having more transparency, telling people about your lives, because people like to work with people that they like. So if they can kind of relate to you, more than likely you're going to be able to get more customers, and you kind of want to do that on your About page. And you also talk about, value propositions, incorporating the value propositions not only on your homepage, but on those About Us pages.
Yeah, and pretty much every page on your site really should have a headline. So, on that page, you don't want to have it be about or about us. You want to come up with a headline that is really sort of a mini value proposition for that particular page. And it keys people into what's going to follow, and lead them further down into the page, and what they're going to get out of it. So, I do think that's really important to have that, as well as the other thing I do find is too, I'm always sort of amazed about, is that there's no call to action at the end. You're getting a lot of traffic to that page. We'll send people someplace else. If you're getting a huge bounce rate on that page, well, are you not telling people to go anyplace else? So send them to your contact page, send them to a specific service, whatever it is, and push them further down into your funnel.
Yeah, and if you're not doing surveys, that's probably a good place to actually do a survey too. Oh, you're interested, to help us, give us feedback. Maybe just having a little feedback button is a great place to do it on your About Us page. So your About Us page, you're telling the story. We've had the value proposition. You're telling people where to go, and then in the call to actions, maybe having getting something for a value in your next step. Get a free consultation, get a free ebook, whatever it is. Let's talk specifically about some of those call to actions. Is there a method that you go through to find the right trigger words?
Yeah, whenever I think of a call to action, I think about, I sort of reverse engineer it. So I think, where is this button going to lead people? So, when you always want to give people an idea, not only about, the benefit of clicking that button, but also its relevance. So, where is this button going to take you? Is it going to send you someplace where you can get your free download? Is it going to take you to the next page that's going to help you sign up for something? Whatever it is, you really want to give people an idea of where you're taking them, and then also what the benefit is. And you want to try and stay away from some of those icky friction words, like submit, or even buy. Right. So you want to make it, people feel as if they're actually getting something and they're not having to go through some laborious process to do something on the other side of the button.
Yeah. And now you mentioned friction a couple times, so we're going to now move into another guest post that you did for Unbounce, particularly around a framework that you call the FOG model.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a Stanford professor who came up with this model, and it's his model. But it's sort of a nice way of thinking about, for me, writing a page and reducing friction. So basically, he says there always needs to be 3 elements going on. To help with a conversion. So you need motivation, you need ability, and you need triggers. So you need people, chances are people coming to your page are already going to be motivated. Otherwise they wouldn't be coming. But you need to work on that motivation. You need to make it easy for people to get from point A to point B. And then you actually need a trigger, like a call to action to have them trip something, to get to the next side. So it's sort of a nice way of reminding yourself, I need to have these 3 things going on in order to make it possible for somebody to do what I need them to do.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. And I think this comes into play especially in pay-per-click advertising and driving those ads, particularly to landing pages, because you only have a couple seconds really to make your first impression and win them over. So you have to not have friction, make sure that you're solving the problem that the queries was specifically looking for, and then be able to kind of like easily scan through the page, maybe through bullets or quick imagery right into that value proposition. So that you're kind of like telling the story with visual design.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times where people fall down is they're not meeting the person's expectations. So especially with that, the landing page and having ads, the ad copy doesn't match up with the landing page copy, particularly in the headline or surrounding the headline. And so, people click on one thing and they land someplace else and think, well, this has seemingly nothing to do with, what I clicked on. And that's a sure way to get people to leave. So, it's really matching expectations whenever you can, and building on the motivation that people already have. And then just making it dead simple for people to get through the page and get where they need to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the beginning of this particular post, and we'll link to it in the show notes, getting started with friction, the goal is to create elements to make it easy for visitors specifically to take action in terms of copy, clear and relevant value propositions, list of benefits that match the expectations, and enough information to actually make a decision. And I think that last one is really very important, I know for me, when it comes to e-commerce, because a lot of times we're trying to answer all the questions that people have when they arrive at that landing page. What's the FAQs? What our ingredients are in this particular supplement that we're selling? So right. Having all of those questions kind of up front, so they can just easily scan and they don't have to think. Just like this famous book from Steve Krug, Don't Make Me Think.
Right. Well, and I think it depends on what kind of page you're putting together. If it's more of a long form sales page, then it's about building an argument and taking people through your argument. What's the problem, and what's the pain point, and here's your solution, and this is why this solution in particular is perfect for what you need, and that sort of thing. But there's a balance between making sure that you give people enough information that they can make a decision and doing way too much. And then, people go into cognitive overload, and, then they get frustrated and confused and no decision ends up happening. So there's that fine line between making sure you give them enough, but not overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you actually have, I didn't even notice you had that you had a reference to Steve Krug in there, so that was really interesting for me to make that. But you also have a quote from Brian Eisenberg, actually one of my mentors, and he said the landing page headline should reinforce the scent from the ad that's delivered your visitor to that particular page, the persuasive momentum. And that's that message match that a lot of experts talk about these days. The ability to match the headline or the specific keywords to the landing page that you have, so you don't have to make people think, and then they go down, and then maybe the call to action, that particular button, is basically reinstating with the value proposition to get them to move forward in that next step.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So.
Cool. Well, you've probably read a lot of Jen's material online. Mention some of the places that you've done guest posts, because I always see you all over the place.
Oh, yeah. I've done a few for Unbounce, and I'm writing one now. So that should come out beginning of November or so. So that's great. I've written quite a few for ConversionXL, and a couple on there, one on personas and customer journey mapping, which is a little bit different, but I sort of try and tie it back to the whole conversion piece of things. And then I just wrote a post for CopyHackers. So been doing more of that. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, excellent. Well, why don't you tell people how they can maybe find out more about you, share your Twitter, however you want people to contact you.
Yeah, you can find me at makementionmedia.com, and my Twitter is at Jen Havice, Havice. And actually, I just came out with a free 3-day conversion copywriting course by email. So I will shoot you that link for that. But yeah, if people want to grab that, it's free. It's just sort of a good introduction and some takeaway how-tos on, these are some of the common issues and how you can address them. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I certainly can always become a better copywriter, and I'm sure anyone else who's a designer out there could probably benefit from that as well, along with marketers. So to close out, what would be one thing that optimizers can really do to really improve their copy or improve their conversions and take their businesses to the next level?
What I've found that's been sort of the most tremendously helpful is just to be constantly out there reading and connecting with other people, especially, the people sort of I consider mentors, like you said, people like Pep, who you've had on, and Joanna, and, Ollie Gardner, people like that, just sort of staying on their radar screen and connecting with them and seeing what they're doing, and then using their takeaways to kind of help inform what sort of tests I want to do, and then just kind of constantly be, reading.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's, I don't know if that's all that great of an answer, but I've just found that, like I said before, you can't operate in a vacuum. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great answer, because I know for me, I mean, especially as, a freelance consultant working from home, we get our own tunnel vision and we think, oh yeah, I have the greatest framework. I've seen things they're working really good. And then you're like, oh, I don't know if maybe this is not going to necessarily work for this particular client,
right?
But but then you go and you read a whole bunch of copy or content online, or you take all these courses. But I really think the biggest benefit is actually going to conferences. And like, I just got back from HeroConf, and it was actually my second time hearing Ollie Gardner and Chris Goward speak from Wider Funnel, and seeing them do the same presentation for the second time, I really understood it a lot better, and it gave me a bunch of different ideas to improve my own framework. So, getting out there, learning as much as you possibly can, and around with your peers and being influenced by those thought leaders is certainly
and just having those one-on-one conversations, get them. It's great.
Just
to see, oh wow, you're doing that, and okay, that's a great idea. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for a little while, because I've done conversion for so long, and I've kind of had my own method of doing it. And it wasn't until I really talked to all these different thought leaders, I was like, oh wow, there's actually a real formula for what I'm doing. I didn't even know it was actually a system for it. So it's very eye-opening to get yourself around smarter people than yourself.
Yeah, I try to do that all the time.
Well, thanks a lot for your time, Jen.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you for watching the Marketing Optimization Podcast with AlexDesigns. Please remember to subscribe to all of the videos in my YouTube channel. Thank you.